These are both the current bikes in the Enfield range, and the only thing that separates these bikes is really the fueling. In the 650 Interceptor here, right from the very start, this particular bike always had good fueling. You could always kick this bike over, give it a minute or so to warm up, get on the bike and ride the bike straight out. You'd have no jerky throttle, and the bike could perform really nice from scratch, and that's in stock standard form. So it was always good in that. So by the time this bike was brought out in late 18, early 19, it was really good in that respect, that they sorted this bike out totally. In my opinion, this has been their very best Enfield to date, the 650. So it was a really good bike in that form. But if you go back to this 500 Classic, it's always had a really jerky throttle response from cold all the way through, but you have to take into account the fuel injection system on this particular bike and the ECU it runs it. It came out on this bike in 2009, so it's a little bit of a dinosaur when you look at it that way. And once you added anything like a sports exhaust or air cleaner, it went downhill after that. Now while we're at it, I might just swing over here. Just so you know, I still have got me 390 KTM adventure bike. So it's not going anywhere, I just haven't been on it for a while. I've had an inquiry or two on it if I still got the bike, so once again, there they all are, back over here together. Now, another thing I'll point out, that I've still got plans on riding this bike along the odd dirt road. So something I had made over in India with this custom 47 tooth rear sprocket, which I haven't got around to fitting yet. I haven't got me ride with Waro on it. So like I said, that was custom made for me. So as soon as I get a chance, I'll fit that to the rear wheel here, and we'll get out and test that bike. And I've got to say that KTM 390 Adventure is a really nice looking bike for the price, and it's the cheapest bike here in the 3 bike lineup, so pretty happy with it. Okay guys, here's the booster plug that arrived today for the 2020 Classic 500 Euro 4. These will fit from 2017 model onwards, or the Euro 4 model only. And I'll repeat that again, it'll only fit the Euro 4s. So, from Denmark to Australia, took approximately 7 days. From the time I ordered it, cost me $240. And there's the unit. We'll sit her over here so you can have a bit better look. I was going to say it doesn't appear that much, but seeing I've got no idea on electronics, it just looks no different in one way apart from the connectors than what I've got on the 650. But if it works as good as what it does on the 650, I'll be pretty happy with that. In actual fact, I thought I was going to get out of this a bit sneaky and pull the booster plug from the 650, bring it over to the 500, connect it up to it, just see if it works or not, and save myself a few bucks and trial it that way. But never worked that way, and I'll show you why. So we're on Old Faithful here now, which is a pretty good little bike. I've already pulled the side cover and stripped the tank, and while we're at it, just have a look at this idea here. See what I've done here on this one here. It pulls the side cover. I've got about I think 4 or 5 of these adventure cameras, and they all come with the cheap style GoPro copy mounts. I actually lost this screw at, I think it was a 5mm one that went in there, and it fell down, I don't know, somewhere down in there a couple of weeks ago, and I looked down here on the ground here somewhere and I couldn't find it anywhere, and it's probably still sitting in the frame there, buggered if I know, but anyway, I won't get it anymore. So I actually went and got me mounts in there and thought, maybe I could put those in, and I could screw one of those in place to hold the cover in place, and it was just one of me cheap copy Chinese GoPro mounts, and I think that looks better than that bloody screw, because the screw was really hard to get back down in there, and that might be something you might want to put in there and hold that. But anyway, that's a different story, so that's just something I thought about. So if you look at the booster plug on the Interceptor and the connectors, and if you look at the connectors now, or the Classic, well, naturally they're a different colour, but they're also got different plugs what they connect into. I won't disconnect this one, but you can tell they're definitely different. So there was no use trying that trick. So I had no choice but order this new plug for this bike. Now I'll just put that booster plug back down in under the framework there, out of the way, and all is good and you wouldn't even know it's in there. And I can put that bike back together now. Fit this booster plug, we're going to have to get at the IAT sensor, which is behind the airbox here. I'll need a 13mm socket to get this off. Once upon a time, Classic 500s never come with this plastic cover over the air filter, but they thought it was important at one stage and it helped them, and they were just once an exposed filter in here. They were just little mods that come along as the bike progressed from the early days. So there's no reason for you to undo the airbox to check here like I'm showing you now. So there's your IAT sensor sitting in there. But with the upswept exhaust, if you don't pack it with a soft cloth, naturally, if I remove this now, it will come down and you'll be banging your nice side cover. So if we take a look, there's our sensor just in that area there with the little white plastic stalk on it there. So like I said, you can come into that from behind. You could probably come in from here and manoeuvre it and pull it off from in under there, but it's a pretty tight fit to get in there to get at it. And see, I'm experimenting with the bike at the moment. Naturally, in the newer models, this one's plastic, and you'll need a 10mm socket to remove those 3 bolts. Now, something that's worth thinking about for you guys that if you're unaware of, this particular housing used to be metal. And also, if you can pick up one of these housings from a wrecked one, you should be able to just buy the mounting bracket and the unit and just mount it straight back onto this one, because Enfield went a little bit cheap as the years went on. They made that plastic. Now naturally now on the sump filler plug, that's plastic. I was going to show you the chain guard. It's plastic too, but I've pulled it off the bike because I've ordered a chrome steel one from India. I'm going to put that on just like the engine filler plug. So I'm going to remove what I can, anything plastic off the bike, and go back how they used to make them when all the bike was virtually metal. Still don't know why you'd want to cheapen it and just go plastic, but must be just to save a couple of dollars from the factory. But I'm trying to source a metal box from an old wreck one somewhere, and if I can, I'd run. Okay guys, if we take a look now, I've removed the fake or dummy box there, which once used to be a toolbox in the old days. And you come into it now, and I've got easy access to the IAT sensor, or the rear of the sensor, and I can pull that plug quite easy now. Next we'll go for plug 2, which is attached directly to the sensor. We'll get it to click in position. Click. That's good. So the sensor, both connectors are connected properly now. So this is what we have. We disconnected the original wiring from the IAT sensor. We connected up the booster plug. All I've got to do now is connect that up there, somewhere where it's nice and secure. Here's our sensor probe here. I'll just decide where I'll wrap it up, and I might just attach it to the frame there where it can pick up the cold air. And then after that, everything should be ready to go and we can give her a kick over. Got the booster plug roughly sitting where I want it. I've got the probe wire just on the air intake tube there. They said keep it off metal, so I've just got it sitting in that area there to get a reading. I'm going to put all this back together. I'm just going to leave me dummy airbox off it while I'm doing the testing, and we'll see how that goes. Now if you're wondering why did I put this booster plug on this particular bike, well, you probably will know that the Euro 4 bikes, they run a little bit leaner than the Euro 3s. Well, I noticed it straight off. It was a more leaner a leaner bike to ride, a lot more jerkier in the throttle. Well, apparently by fitting this booster plug, it adds more fuel to the bike, or it tricks the bike. Somehow it goes. I'm not sure exactly how it works, but the fact is, I'm not into that sort of stuff, so it doesn't matter. If they're any good, I read reports on things, and if people reckon they work and I buy them, that's good enough for me. But it worked on the 650 Interceptor, so I see no reason why it shouldn't work on this. So it's capable of giving it a better idle. Now what I'm hoping with this bike was every time I actually started the bike, I'd have to push down on the fast idle and kick it that way and hold it there for 30 seconds while it warmed up, because we're in winter now and it takes a little while for the bike to warm. So it's going to be interesting now this plug's connected. I'm just going to try to do a turnkey, press a button, see if it'll start and idle that way, and it hasn't been run for now 5 days, so it's a good test. And the booster plug idea is supposed to give it a little bit more low down grunt or push in the first few gears on acceleration, so that'll be something I'll be able to pick up quite easy on this bike if that happens. It's also gets rid of the surging. Well, this bike's got a fair bit of surging because it runs lean with the Euro 4 compliance, so that'll be easy to pick up. And more importantly, if you ever put aftermarket exhaust on one of these bikes, like I said, these bikes run lean in the first place, so if you put an aftermarket on one, you're probably looking for trouble unless you add something. It'll give it a bit more fuel so you don't end up burning out the valves. So that's another reason for putting one of these on. Now, before I just close up here and put this back together, the reason why I won't be testing this today, apart from kicking it over to see how it sounds, is I'll show you now. Pretty big storm come through here just a while ago, and look at this. Knocked out my tree. Snapped it off there. Snapped this one down here, and the wife said, why am I worried about a video on a motorbike when I should be out here fixing this? So as you can see, I've got a fair bit of work here to clean up, so she'd prefer me doing that than out there worried about whether a booster plug works on a motorbike. So I'll have a fair gap here after this. This used to be where I parked my bike all the time for the photos for a backdrop, but as is now, by the time I chainsaw this up and take it away, there'd be a fair old gap. Okay guys, I've got the booster plug on the bike. Haven't started the bike for 5 days. We'll just get over, turn her on, see how she goes. Oh well, that sounds pretty positive. Idling all right, seems to be rather smooth. First time starter for, I think about 5 days. Probably only around about, I don't know, maybe somewhere between 5 and 8 degrees, so it's not very warm. Yeah, so that sounds good. Might give it a couple of minutes warmer. Like I said, it's miserable weather here today, so I don't think I'll be able to ride it. I've got that tree to get out there and work on at the moment. As much as I'd like to get out there with the wet track, and now I don't like that idea either. So the main thing is the booster plug's on, and I think I'll do a part 2 to this one, and the part 2 will be a test on the bike, and I can get out there, and maybe tomorrow might be a better day and we can see how this bike goes, and I can do a clip on actual test run on the bike and see if I notice anything. But